Thank you all very much. I know that many of you did not come to see me, you came to see animals, right? Right. So what we're going to do, everyone, I'm going to say a few words for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to bring you out some animals. And the last animal we're going to have tonight, we're going to attempt this, is a full-grown cheetah. Now, the cheetah is the fastest land mammal in the world. So if any of you in here has to go to the bathroom before the cheetah comes out, unless you can go at 75 miles an hour, please stay in your seats, because we could have a disaster in this place. But I'll let you know when that's about ready to happen. And I noticed that you want to be a zookeeper, right? Yeah. See, and people might be saying, oh, she wants to be a zookeeper. That same thing was said to me because I saw your shirt on it in your interview. You can have my job in 3 years. 3 years she can do it. Everyone, real quickly, I know that a lot of you are sitting out there saying, oh, this is another commencement address, but I think Stan said it very well in his enthusiasm. Let me tell you a little story about Jack Hanna. A lot of you see me on TV, oh, Jack's this TV person, celebrity, star, all that stuff. I don't go by any of those words. I'm the same Jack Hanna I was on our farm in Tennessee since the early age when I went there in 1954. I was born in a little village outside of Knoxville in 1947. Well, I went to that farm, everyone, and I had a dream. Stan mentioned dreams. Now, you better hope you're listening to this. A lot of you people will tell you today you cannot live a dream. You saw the young lady here who went to the academy. What a dream that is. And she lived that dream thanks to ECOT. And by the way, Bill Logger reminds me of when I started the Columbus Zoo 30-something years ago, when everyone said that the Columbus could not have a zoo. That was impossible. How many people would have told you 15 years ago that you might be, no, you can't quite do that, right? About everybody. Well, now look at this room in here. Isn't it amazing what this man dreamed that can be done? And each and every one of you can do that. Each and every one of you can do what Bill Logger did to give you an education. It's amazing what this guy has done, and all of his staff, by the way. It wasn't Jack Hanna that built the zoo. It's just like Bill will tell you. It's a team of people. Folks, listen to one thing. You will never succeed in life unless you have a team. I don't care if it's an athlete. I don't care if it's in the U.S. service, which I served in the Army. I don't care what it is. It's always a team effort. Anybody successful will tell you that in any business or our armed services or whatever it might be, even our country. Going back now to when I was a little boy at the age of 11 years old on our farm, we had a man named Dr. Roberts who came to our farm once a month. I asked him when I was 11 years old if I could go clean cages at his clinic. He thought I'd last maybe one day. I lasted 5 years. When I say this, you guys are too young to know this, but these guys will know. You know, my grandfather walked to school in the snow 50 miles a day, that kind of thing. But what I did was I had a passion and I had a dream to be a zookeeper from a young age. I cleaned cages every single summer. I polished doorknobs to learn everything I could about animals. Why is that? Because I had a difficult time in school. As a matter of fact, I'm going to flash forward right now to tell you this. If this school was around in the 1950s, 1960s, Jack Hanna would have been the first person to sign up. Now let's go to when I was 17 years old. Dr. Roberts took me to the little old Knoxville Zoo. I went in that zoo and I saw it and I said, boy, even those zoos back then, by the way, folks, should have all been shut down in this country. Today, the largest visitation, the largest recreation in America is the visitation to our 221 zoos in this country. 221, we had 176 million people last year. 107, you can't put pro football, baseball, all of them put together. You don't come up with 176 million people. People thought I was nuts back then to have a dream when I was 17 to be a zookeeper. I couldn't get accepted anywhere. As a matter of fact, I was kicked out of school when I was 15. I had a very difficult time finishing at a school in Pennsylvania. I was 30 people in the graduating class. I was number 30. As a matter of fact, everybody got an award, and the guy that was a headmaster gave me an award. He made it up that day, called the Cheer Award. But I didn't care. I had some award to take home. I guess where I'm coming to, everyone, is that I never stopped living the dream of being a zookeeper. I finished that school. I was rejected at every single college I applied to, every single one of them. That was 9 of them. I was accepted thanks to him. He carried me over to Muskingum College in New Concord, Ohio. For my first year, those that were much brighter than me that came from good schools out east, whatever it might be, 1/3 of those people flunked out of Muskingum that first year back then. I finished Muskingum in 3.5 years, not because I was bright, because I wasn't. I had a problem with learning, but I'd worked very hard. And my dad taught me 3 words on our farm, 3 simple words: hard work and enthusiasm. Now, what did he mean by enthusiasm? He meant love what you do, Jack. Love what you do and work hard. He wasn't necessarily in the animal business. He built some minor homes, that kind of thing, while we were on the farm, that type of stuff. But he never discouraged me to live my dream. But you know something? I went to Muskingum. 2 weeks before I graduated, there's a man named Dr. Miller. He's now gone. Dr. Miller called me and he was the president of Muskingum College. I'd never been in anybody's office. Well, I've been in a few offices. Shouldn't say that. In high school, I was in a few offices, obviously. But at Muskingum College, he called me in 2 days before graduation. I was scared to death. I figured, what did I do wrong? Because I knew I was supposed to graduate. He said, Jack, he set me down in front of him. He said, Jack, why would you want to be a zookeeper? Why would your parents help pay you this money? Why would you have some money? Why would you do that, to work in a smelly old place like a zoo? He was dead serious. He wasn't joking with me. No one would work in a zoo. I said, Dr. Miller, it's my dream. I want to work in a zoo. Graduated college, got drafted in the armed services, came out, became a zookeeper in Knoxville, Tennessee at $3.50 an hour, and that was big money back then. But I didn't work for the money. I worked for what I really believed in. Went to Central Florida in 1972. Built a little zoo with 5 employees down there. From there, I went to Columbus, Ohio. And for all of you folks that might be around this area, some people say, oh, I came to Columbus to be the zoo director. Joe Bull, back away, vice president of Columbus Zoo, knows why I came to Columbus. Why did I come here? Because our daughter Julie was dying of cancer. I was at St. Jude Hospital. We had to come here for her. Those of you might believe in the good Lord, I'll tell you something. I came here because of Children's Hospital, but also Columbus was looking for a zoo director, and no one wanted the job because the federal government was closing the zoo in 4 weeks, but no one told me. Only somebody from Tennessee could be that dumb. Anyway, so I took the job. Can you imagine the dream that I got to live? Not just because Jack Hanna built the zoo. I did not build the zoo. A lot of people built that zoo. Who would believe it in 1978, there were 160,000 people. They said that's how many were going. I doubt that. There were 160,000 people they said went to the zoo. I had 19 employees or 20, whatever, who knows. A budget of maybe $800,000, who knows. And this last year for the, what is it, Joe, the 3rd year in a row. The Columbus Zoo was voted the #1 zoo in America, San Diego second. Now what do we have? We don't have 160,000. 2.4 million people, a budget of $58 million, and 1,400 employees. Thanks to all you folks sitting out there being a part of the world's this country's #1 zoo. You talk about a dream, tell me I didn't live a dream. One last thing. And then the next dream, and we'll talk about this thing in a bag here. The next dream, everyone. How many of you men and women might be my age and remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom? Remember that? Wild Kingdom? Yeah, I see a lot of hands. I would sit there in front of my old TV in Knoxville. We were one of the few people who had TV, and watch Wild Kingdom before Disney on Sunday nights. I would sit there, never even hardly left the state of Tennessee, and say, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be something to travel like Marlon Perkins, to see the world? Who would ever believe that I've traveled every continent in the world to bring you guys the animal world? Who would ever believe that? My parents have passed on before I did all this. I wish maybe they were up there. I know they're up there watching today. But that's what I'm trying to explain to each and every one of you sitting out here today. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot live the dream. Look at what was accomplished here with these people. Look at each and every one of you. Just because they're sitting up here as valedictorians, yes, they've done a tremendous job. But each and every one of you are just as important as each and every one of them sitting up here. Trust me. The man up there knows that. And folks, only you can do it. Only you, okay? It's you that has to do it. Yes, you have great parents. You have great friends. We all know that. But it has to come from inside you. And I don't care if you want to be a gas station owner, if you want to own a restaurant, a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, an astronaut. I don't care what it is. If you love that, do it. But make sure you understand it's you that are going to do it. It takes hard work, everybody. It really does. But you will be so satisfied when you leave. And one last thing, when you do leave this planet, it's not because I did all these shows and did all these great things and Emmy Awards. That means it's a great thing to do, okay? But that's not what I'm hopefully leaving behind. I'm leaving behind the Columbus Zoo and hopefully educated people by the millions around the country. Hopefully I've left a little bit behind where people will appreciate the animal world as well as the people world. And that's what I hope my legacy is. I've left something little behind. And each and every one of you can leave something behind. And I don't care what kind of business it is and what people may tell you. Be proud of what you do, and I know each and every one of you parents out there, you've got to be so proud. I remember my parents came to my graduation. It was the greatest days of my life. I'll never forget it. So congratulations, all you guys, and congratulations on coming from a school here that's 12 years old, and you're one of the first. That is something to be very proud of. Thank you very much. And now if you focus here, this is something we caught down on the river. I don't know what oh, there it is, no. What is this? A kangaroo. Everyone real quickly. This is a marsupial. This animal is one of the most amazing births in nature, everybody. This animal, when it's born, is the size of your fingernail, a jelly bean. It's unbelievable. I've only seen it once, even though it happens all the time. It's very rare to see. This animal comes out of the birth canal the size of your fingernail, looking like a little worm jelly bean. At that point, it then climbs on the outside of the stomach on the kangaroo for an hour. How does it know to climb upwards to go in the pouch? You talk about Mother Nature and creation. Isn't that amazing? They can climb up the stomach and into the pouch where it attaches to the breast, where it swells around the animal's mouth where it lives for 8 months. Now, why is this one in a pouch? This is a gray kangaroo. This gray kangaroo can be as tall as I am, standing up, 6 feet tall, all right? It stays in the pouch 8 months. Australia has 200 marsupials plus, 200. We have one, what is it? The possum. I'm very proud of the possum, but that's what we have. Anyway, this is a little kangaroo here. The animal also can have 3 babies, 3 different stages of life at one time. It can have a baby being born. It can have a baby going out of the pouch. It can breed the same day. One of the few animals in the world that can go to 3 stages of life at one time. Now, why do we have this one? Because what happens with a kangaroo, if they breed, because it's delayed implantation, which means you don't know when the baby's going to be due. So let's say she breeds, this little baby comes out of the pouch, and the one in the pouch is not developed. She'll take her paw, push it out on the ground where it dies instantly in the wild. Then the other one comes in. What we do, if it's pushed out in the zoo world, we can take it, if it looks like a kangaroo, it's shaped like one with no hair, we can take it and feed it every 2 hours for the first 4 weeks. A lot of work, and that's what Beth has done here with this little one here. One last thing on the kangaroo. If you show the back foot here, some people say, how does a kangaroo defend himself? He goes 40 miles an hour, jumps 30 feet at a time. But you see this back foot here. You see this claw? There's a claw on the back of that. That claw gets to be 4 to 6 inches long. What happens when a dingo or a dog chases him in the wild? If they do that, he'll stop. If he runs out of juice, he's tired. He'll sit there and the dog will come up to him. He'll take that back foot and kick out with that claw, and quicker than you can blink your eyes, it's like a knife. The party's over. And in history, no one's ever been killed by a kangaroo until 2 years ago. A man had gone out having fun one night, came home, thought he'd corner a kangaroo. He's no longer here. And a kangaroo would never do that to you, by the way. I've filmed them hundreds of times in the wild, but that's their main means of defense. So thank you for Hop Along the Kangaroo. Let's have a round of applause for Hop Along. I'm going to try and hurry through these animals. I know my time is up, but this right here is one of the only cats in the world, if not the only cat in the world, that can catch a bird in free flight. Now, this just came to the zoo 2 days ago. You're the first audience to see this. It's called a baby serval, S-E-R-V-A-L. Now, where will you ever see this again? Let me tell you where. If any of us can ever go back to Egypt, or if you ever see a movie or a documentary on Egypt, the pyramids and the mummies of the Egyptians 5,000 years ago had this on the side of it. This gets to be about 30 or 40 pounds. It's a small cat, 30, 40, about this big, full grown. But the Egyptians did try to domesticate this. No longer can you find this animal anywhere near Egypt. You got to go 2,000 miles south where the equator goes through Kenya. At that point, going south, you will find the animal. You won't find many of them. It takes about 15 of these to make one coat. That now has been stopped mostly throughout Africa. But they're a solitary cat, which puts them in jeopardy because they can't find their mates. This cat, though, can go back, and you can't tell it now, but his front legs and back legs are different lengths. His back legs are very long, so he squats down in the grass. They don't live in the jungles. They live out in the plains. He'll squat down like this in high grass. He'll wait till a bird flies. You know, a bird goes pretty fast, right? He'll jump up like a bullet. I've only seen it one time. He jumps up like a bullet and grabs the bird flying. Only cat in the world that can basically do this. Also, if you look at the back of the ears, we'll turn him around a second to the camera. You can see right there. See the white spots? You don't see this very often in nature. The white spots on these ears keep that animal alive. How is that? Those are called eye spots. Certain cats in nature, certain birds have it. So if this cat's sitting there at 30, 40 pounds eating some dead rabbit or something, and then all of a sudden, let's say a young hyena or even a young lion were to come up, he thinks he's looking backwards. Again, you can show him one more time, the eye spots, because it's very interesting how clear they are right now as a youngster. We can turn him right around there. There we go. You don't see that very often, called eye spots. So that's called the serval cat. Remember that. You see very few of these anywhere in the world. Thank you so much for bringing that to the Columbus Zoo. Actually, I just told these folks here I only have 20 minutes. I brought 50 animals from the zoo, so we're going to sit here all day and talk about animals. And by the way, I told this to you before. Tommy just served in Iraq about 1.5 years ago for a year. Let's hear it for Tommy, for our country. I don't know if this camera can see him. Can you see him this low on the stage? There we go, beautiful shot there. Look at this very closely, everyone. I was corrected, by the way, last week on this, but I can tell you now there are very few left. This is the Eurasian Lynx. A lot of you have seen the Canadian Lynx, all right? The Canadian Lynx is about this big, full grown. The Eurasian Lynx gets to be at least 2.5 times this size. This is only a young kitten, basically. The coat, I wish each and every one of you could touch this coat. As a matter of fact, this young lady here, not because she's going to be a zookeeper, but I want her to touch this animal because I want you to see that this coat is one of the most sought-after coats in the world. You're not going to sue me, are you?
No.
You know something?
Yeah.
See there? She just touched a cat that could go extinct in the wild in the next 24 months. That's how few there are in the world. Back in the 1940s and 50s, it was hunted almost to extinction. Now, by the way, I'm not an anti-hunter. Hunters are some of the greatest conservationists in the world. But back when Lewis and Clark, you guys know Lewis and Clark, came across our country, back when the world was being settled, remember something. Somebody said, oh my gosh, how could Lewis and Clark, how could our pioneers hunt animals? Let me tell you, you would have done the same thing. You need clothing. But in today's world, we don't need the coat off of a Siberian lynx. This coat is it's the softest, it's like chinchilla fur. This animal also is unique in the fact that, look at the back leg, if you could, the back leg, I don't know if the camera can pick this up. It's the only cat in the world that runs on the whole, if Beth will show you. See the whole back part? Show that foot right there, the whole thing. See that whole thing she's pointing to there? This cat runs on the whole back part of his leg, not on his paws. Think about it. Siberia, Eurasia, up in the mountains, who knows, 5,000 to 15,000 feet. This animal would sink in the snow. Everything runs on the pads of their feet. Not this animal. He runs on the whole back part of his foot like a snowshoe. So it's amazing how nature created the snowshoe tens of thousands of years before we even knew how to create a snowshoe. Without that, the animal would die. They're a solitary cat as well. What's wrong with them today, real quickly? They're pushed up into the mountains now. Populations have pushed them up. When you're up there, you're pushed up like that, they're predatory. Their prey is no longer there. So they starve to death. It's not just there, it's in several animals throughout nature, throughout the world that are endangered, where they're being pushed away from where they were from, and therefore there's nothing to eat. But there's a very rare animal, everyone, called the Siberian lynx. Thank you so much for bringing that out. Tommy, what's next? All right, if you can't do it, where's your table? You can put it on the floor. What we're going to do, everyone, is not clap for this, all right? We're going to see how this goes. And if the cat gets a little nervous, I'll just tell you about the cat. Remember something. This is a cheetah, the fastest land mammal in the world. Now, the cheetah, everyone, has been clocked at 75 miles per hour, okay? 75 miles per hour. Their eyesight, they can pick a rabbit up to 2 miles away. The tail is used for a sail like on a sailboat. The cat has a dark spots under its eyes because it hunts in direct sunlight when it's about 110 degrees outside. They're a solitary cat. When they do make a kill, they have a hook on their front leg, a little claw. They grab the esophagus and break the esophagus is what they do, all right? At that point, a lot of the animals get away from the cheetah. If the cheetah does not make a kill, and they wait 2 days to get energy, then they will starve to death, and so will her cubs. Once she does make a kill, you can go ahead, Beth. Once she does make a kill, buzzards and vultures will circle over in Africa, over the kill. What happens then? Lions, hyenas come and take the food from her, and some lions actually eat the cheetah, all right? It's a beautiful creature. We bred 12 of these. We had 12 babies at the wilds last year. The Columbus Zoo and the wilds probably breed more cheetahs than anybody in this country. Again, picture when you go home today, 65 miles an hour on the interstate. The cheetah will pass you at 70. It takes us 3 cameras to film this. 3 cameras, and we still can't film the whole thing. Thank you, Beth. We'll go ahead and I'll say a few more words. Yeah, thank you. That's a very special thing they just did, everybody, because you're the first audience of over probably 200 people that's ever seen a cheetah on stage with me. So clap for yourself because at least the cheetah's back there. Joe, you can quit sweating bullets now. Anyway, the one last thing I didn't mention about the cheetah. It's the only cat in the world with non-retractable claws. The only cat in the world that has claws like a dog's foot. And it's amazing that's for the speed. Again, I hope you've enjoyed the animals. I love coming here and bringing the animal world. What you've seen is some incredible creatures. And again, you saw what, I'm not saying what I did, what each and every one of you up here, out there, these people sitting here, what each and every one of us in this room has done. We've done it ourselves, and we've worked hard, and we've loved what we do. If nothing else, remember those 3 words. Congratulations, each and every one of you deserve it, and your parents especially, and your family deserve it. Thank you very much.